Hello everyone, I'm Tracy Derwin and I'm here with Shane Buell. In today's video, we'll be analyzing the Pickett Fire, which is in Napa Valley. Now, Napa is very iconic for the high quality wine that it produces, and it's a big tourist area as well. I've been there a number of times. They have some of the best restaurants and they produce some of the world's finest wines. So this fire is threatening the center of the economy for Napa Valley. So I'll let Shane go into some of the fire behavior, and then we'll show on a map exactly where it's gone.
All right. So as Tracy said, this is actually burning near Napa Valley. It started in Napa Valley and then went over the hill. But you can see just how close this fire is to the grapes. It did actually burn some of the grapes, and we'll talk about more of the wine damage later on. I do have a little bit more fire behavior to show, and this is where it came down the hill towards Etna Springs, where it actually did impact at least two structures, I think. However, what looks a little bit odd to me is that this is a mostly grass fire and the canopy is not burning. Now, however, I did find another photo that shows it is climbing the bark and the bush a little bit. But the brush itself didn't catch the canopy on fire. Now, I don't know if that's because of the presence of the firefighters or what. But as far as fire behavior goes, you would expect it to catch more of the leaves on fire, but it could be because the fire department was there. So it's undetermined at this point whether it's natural or not. I do have one more piece of fire behavior to show, though, and that is a fire devil or fire whirl, which looks very violent for the amount of flames and fuel that's on fire here. You can see just how fast the fire shoots upward, and it's very violent fire whirl for its size and for the amount of flames. All right. So now, as far as the impact and the damage goes, there were no people were injured in this fire, thank goodness, but there were several animals that had to be rescued. One of which is this dog here, whose name is Poncho, by the way, and he was reunited with his owner. My heart goes out to all the animals in this fire, dogs, cats, birds, squirrels, rabbits, whatever, deer, cattle. But this was a mostly agricultural area, and so the damage to the crops might actually outnumber dollar value wise the damage to the structures. All right, so I will get into the map real quick. So the forward progress has stopped on this fire at about 6,800 acres. The containment is probably a little bit more than the 37% that's shown in this image. It's probably getting close to 50% contained now, but forward progress has stopped, and I don't expect any more impacts to structures. I do have a better map here to show, which is actually 3D. That's Calistoga on the lower left, and this is Napa Valley at the bottom. And you can see the fire started at the northern edge of Napa Valley and burned up the hill and over these ridges here, and then went down the hill towards Etna Springs, where it did also impact at least a couple more homes that I could find on satellite here. So there is one home right there that it looks like it's within the burn footprint, and there's another one to the left as I zoomed out there. All right, so as far as the number of units, Wildfire Aware does give you an estimation of the population and the number of housing units within the fire perimeter. Of the 27 that were threatened, I could only find like maybe a dozen or so, and only maybe 2 homes could I find within the fire footprint. However, there is allegedly 10 structures destroyed, 4 of which are homes, and I do believe the other 6 to be outbuildings, but I still don't at this time have any image of damaged structures or vehicles, although I do expect that there are some, vehicles and structures that we'll hopefully get images of soon. This is one of the outbuildings, which is actually located on 100-acre vineyard. And CAL FIRE is saying that this is actually the ignition point of the fire. Now, there is some contention there. CAL FIRE is actually blaming this winery for starting the fire. However, I have also found evidence that this might actually be an escaped controlled burn. We have seen this before, like the Corral fire and others. And I also actually do have a clip of the radio dispatch that reported the escaped uncontrolled burn. We're going to listen to it here.
Dispatch records reveal possible information about the origins of the fire and raise questions about whether an escape control burn could be to blame.
That's right. The cause of the fire is still unknown, but there is now evidence where it may have started last Thursday afternoon.
Approximately half an acre escape control burn. Slow rate of spread, but it is about to enter into withdrawal.
Audio from fire dispatch suggests a controlled burn gone wrong.
The Pickett incident remains under investigation. We cannot currently comment on the point of origin or the cause.
All right, so this fire allegedly started on Thursday evening, I think around 6 p.m. And that report came in shortly after. So it does look like it's connected to this fire. So it's a pretty good chance that it could actually be an escape controlled burn.
Yeah, that's just unusual that they would be doing this in this area in the peak of fire season. And
Right.
we also saw this in Florida, that big Florida fire in the Everglades. It was an escaped control burn.
Yeah, not only that, so yeah, we know of at least 2 other examples of escape controlled burns, but what really sticks out to me is that these happened at relatively low relative humidity and there was wind. So that would be pretty close to conditions for red flag. So I don't know if there was officially a red flag at the time, but if there was, that would be a really bad time to start a controlled burn.
Right.
All right. So, like I said, the majority of the damage is to the crops in this case, and the wineries are estimating up to $65 million in damages to the vineyard crops. And that's probably not including the other types of food production that are also grown there. I do have some images of actually burned grapevines. So some of the grapevines actually did burn. I think about maybe 3% of Napa Valley's vineyards actually did burn in this fire. However, a much larger percentage of the wine or the wineries and grapes were exposed to smoke, and they have had a problem with smoke damage in the past. We can see, just how close this fire got to some of the vineyards. And allegedly, some of these vineyards are going to lose their crop due to smoke damage, but they won't actually know until they make it into wine, and then they have to taste it. And they said out of the last 8 years, if they were to lose this crop, this would be the 3rd crop out of the last 8 years that they've lost to smoke damage. And they won't actually know until they make it into wine and they taste it. And they said, smoke damaged grapes actually taste like an ashtray. And so you can't really sell it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that might be an intention to put some of these wineries out of business. I know of some. When I went, I think the last time I went, it was maybe 10 years ago. But I do remember hearing that the smaller wineries, they almost all have had to sell to Gallo or the bigger brands because it's just simply too expensive to run a small independent winery, or they go out of business. So there's kind of how there's I guess like a monopoly in the wine business. So most of the wineries are owned by a couple of the bigger brands nowadays.
Yeah, and we're seeing that trend in many other businesses too, where mom and pop businesses are going, the small business owners are going out of business. And the political landscape just continues to tend to favor the corporate monopolies.
Right. Okay, was there anything else we're going to share?
That's all I have so far, but if any images or videos surface of impacted cars or structures, I will be sure to share them again in the future.
Okay, and also this area has some of the best restaurants in the country, or maybe even the world, like Michelin star restaurants. And Gavin Newsom's favorite restaurant, French Laundry, is here as well. So I think I think this is a very special area for the Newsom family. I know they don't live too far. They're in Northern California somewhere. But for a lot of people, this is kind of a significant place for, past vacations. And I know I have a emotional attachment to this area because I've visited so many times. So it really is sad that this area is being affected this way. So I think that's going to do it for now.
Oh,
And
just one thing I wanted to add is that a friend of ours, Captain Matt's father, was actually defending his home in this fire. He successfully defended his home, and as the fire burned past, and then it went downhill towards Etna Springs. And one of the homes impacted may actually be one of his neighbors. This is a small community, and all the neighbors know each other. And so, it would be a really big loss for any one of these people to have lost their homes.
right, I saw the median value. This is a very affluent area as well. I think the median home value of the ones that were, $1.36 million. So very expensive homes being destroyed. Okay, so I think that's going to do it, right?
Yep, that's all we have for today.
Okay, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so before you leave, and like, comment, and share this video so we can get the word out. And thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you all soon. Bye.